With head coach Nick Bootland, as the Kalamazoo Wings are now set for the start of the 2012-13 season. We've gone through the gauntlet of qualifying players, putting season-ending rosters together, and now the qualifying offers, the last step before the player signings start. And the K-Wings have put 8 qualifying offers out there. And Nick, no certain order, but before we talk about the players, how difficult was the selection? You have a lot of players that you could put on the list. In general, why these 8 players?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a process. You know, you want to get those guys that you're interested in having back, and you have those conversations with players to see where they're at and where their heads are at and what leagues they want to play in and what opportunities they want to have. So, you know, these are guys that we felt that are capable of helping us. And do you put veterans on there? I mean, we do end up having one veteran on the list, but, you know, do we put those guys on there when they become free agents in a month anyway and you don't have their rights? So really by qualifying these guys, we keep their ECHL rights for 1 year. Right up until June 15th of next season. They can't go anywhere else in the ECHL. Now they can transfer leagues, and they can go to Europe, and they can go to the Central League, and they can do those things as well. But this just gives us their ECHL rights, and these are guys that I wouldn't qualify them if we didn't want them back.
And there'll be a couple guys that people are going to see not on this list, and you kind of already alluded to it on the veterans. No Corey Carlander, no Sam Fatorik, but for K-Wing fans, just as we've talked about in the past, that just because you're not on this list does not mean necessarily that you'll be a K-Wing for the upcoming year, and because you're on this list doesn't mean you're going to be a K-Wing for the upcoming year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just to protect their rights. You know, obviously those older guys have been here for a while, and if they have those interests and we have interest, and they come back. You know, you get those veteran guys that way. But there's guys on this list that aren't going to be on our team, I would imagine, because they're going to find different opportunities, and there's guys that might surprise you a little bit, because of their signings and where they've already gone or where they've already alluded to where they're going.
Let's go to the player list, and for the K-Wings, again, no uncertain order here, that Joe Charleboy, defenseman for the Kalamazoo Wings, 2-time Fifth Third Bank Defenseman of the Year, a guy that brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Charleboy is a guy that you don't notice on the point sheet. We've talked about him many different times and what he's done. And, I felt that there was a little lull in this season last year in the way, he had a little bit of maybe a comfort level there in December, January. But the postseason, you're really seeing what Joe was made of in the sacrifice of the blocking shots and defense first and team first hockey that he played.
A guy that came mid part of the season, right actually at the deadline for European players, proved big down the stretch, Dwight Helmanen.
Yeah, Dwight Helmanen, obviously a very speedy player, an elusive player, and has a knack for going to the net and play at the highest level. And once again, during the postseason play was when he played his best, and was a dynamic player for us down the stretch, playing in all situations.
When you look at the K-Wing roster with Maxime Clermont, property of the New Jersey Devils, Kalamazoo Wings could only put one goaltender if they wanted to on this qualifying offer list. That would be Riley Gill, and yes, Riley's on this list.
Yeah, Riley Gill stood up, and obviously I guess this is going to sound like very repetitive, but the postseason he had, we don't make it to the conference finals without Riley Gill, and the way he stepped up and dominated games and won us games in the postseason because of his play. That's a key reason why he's back on the list.
Kid that made his rookie year a very valid one. You look at it from where he was at the beginning of the year, trying to get ice time, to a guy that you probably couldn't get off the ice at the year's end on the blue line, Mike Matzak.
Yeah, Mike Matzak was very patient at the beginning of the year and realized that he was going to have to make the best of his opportunity when he received it. And I think he didn't play the first 5 or 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. And then when he jumped into the lineup, he showed his worth. He showed his offensive side, moving the puck real well, and has a knack for getting pucks through to the net. And with everybody who's been watching the NHL postseason and the 5-man collapse in front of the net and the type of shot blocking that teams are doing to be successful, having a guy who can find a way to get the puck from the point to the front of the net is a huge asset to have.
You talked about the conference finals. One guy that would like to have the what-if tag back is Elgin Reed. I mean, he got hurt, wasn't able to play in for majority of that conference finals, but a guy that you talk about, Riley Gill, that helped you along the way. Elgin Reed's part of that group as well.
Yeah, Elgin Reed is a player who moves well, skates well, moves the puck well, practices every day hard. He's a professional. He comes to the rink prepared to work every day and tries to get better. And at the same time, obviously in the conference final when he plays one period of hockey, that's a guy that we sorely miss throughout that series.
going up, still looking at the forwards, that the K-Wings had a lot of depth. Maybe a guy that surprised goal totals down the stretch, and definitely probably the hottest goal scorer down the stretch for any team in the ECHL, Nick Sirota.
Yeah, Nick Sirota in his line there with Carlander and Archibald down the stretch. The last, 18, 20 games, he won Player of the Month in the ECHL for April, and then and continued to be on that scoring pace throughout the postseason and showed that he has that knack. And, he's a great player that, he helps the guys around him by having a knack by going to the net and then finding holes.
K-Wings forwards will be pretty much the remainder of this list, and a guy that not big when it looks in the height category, but you can't measure his heart, Dean Strong.
Yeah, I mean, Dean Strong is one of those players that makes everyone around him better. It doesn't matter what line he's playing on. It doesn't matter what situation he's playing. He's here to get better. His goals are, just like most of these guys, is to get to the next level, and he seems to be working very hard for that every season. And when he's here, he plays in multiple situations and does a great job for us, and always with a smile on his face.
Guy that also brings a smile to his face, as well as a lot of bad haircuts during the postseason. Justin Taylor rounds out the list.
Yeah, Justin. I think Justin's. He's kind of a crazy guy, and he loves to do those crazy haircuts like you talked about, but at the same time he can be mature about critiquing his own game. And he was on a tear there for the first half and doing a great job, and then I think he had a 17 or 20 game goal lull and realized that things weren't easy. And I know he's working hard in this summer to try and sort of rebound in his mind, not that his numbers were terrible, but a guy that can play on any line in any situation and contribute.
Not a lot of fans would know this, and we're not going to go too much in particulars, but you look down the stretch and the injuries that kid had, and to be able to play on a night-by-night basis, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get exactly specific, but, 3 fairly major bumps or bruises or injuries that he would have, and competed and battled every night, and he would have been an Iron Man if I didn't sit him out the last game of the year. He would have been one of the only 2 players to play every game all year long, and he wanted that. That was sort of pride on his shoulder, but I had a few too many bumps for him to play in that game.
Be remiss if I didn't ask a couple questions. You just got back from Pittsburgh at the NHL draft. Talk about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great experience to go there and get to meet people, and obviously put a face to the name of the people that you've been talking to on the phone. Obviously, New Jersey and Vancouver getting an opportunity to shake hands with those guys and see some of the guys that didn't come through town this year was very, very valuable, to go there and to meet those people. And then you also get a chance to realize how small the hockey world is, and how many people that at the next level or trying to get into this coaching gig. There's more and more players that I play with that are getting jobs at different levels, and it's exciting to see those guys.
When you talk about this, is this probably the most, I don't want to say difficult offseason, probably the most interesting offseason for you since you've been here? A little more teams in the ECHL, more affiliations across the board, all teams considered, and could be an interesting summer. We're already hearing articles from the NHL. This could be a very interesting offseason for every team in this league.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how it's going to work out and how things are going to pan out, and obviously with a pending CBA or agreement with the NHL and their Players Association and their owners trying to get something put together. I think theirs goes to September 15th, I believe, and a potential for, I guess, another lockout, which would obviously in my mind hurt the NHL, but that's something that we don't have control over, and which might affect us immensely being affiliated hockey team.
But obviously no matter what happens, ECHL hockey will take place in October. When can we start expecting seeing the signings coming across for Kalamazoo?
Yeah, very shortly. I'm sure we're going to have a few that are going to come out there, and all the media hoarding them for the right times to put them out on the air.
It's Kalamazoo Wings hockey as we get set for the upcoming season. Get your season tickets and FlexiPlan tickets now as the 39th season of professional hockey in Kalamazoo faces off in October.